Welcome to Hot Topics with PW Harvey Co. Today, we're turning up the heat in more ways than one. Get ready for a sizzling interview that's sure to spice things up as we dive into juicy topics and insights. Join us to hear what our financial advisors have to say as they face off against some fiery, spicy noodles. Will they conquer the heat, or will the noodles be too much to handle?
Right, let's get into it. Right, so if you have encountered some people wanting to start investments but don't have a lot of money to do it.
Look, it's a common misconception that you need a lot of money to start investing, but it's really not the case. You can start with 10 Rand, 100 Rand, however amount you are comfortable with starting.
Sure.
You can start with unit trust, tax-free, whatever. As long as you are comfortable with starting early, if you are consistent, then you will get there. With the state liquidity, there's things like that. So
Yeah.
for someone inheriting money now and trying to invest, a fresh investor, how do you explain to them that, how do you explain, how do you help them understand that volatility is part of investing, how to accept that?
Sorry.
It's just such good questions.
Is that right?
Yeah. I would always say diversification. Ultimately, that's where it is. There is such a thing as over-diversification, so it's just choosing good, well-researched funds and options for investments. Even if you're looking at equities, but what it ultimately comes down to is diversification, ensuring that you make the right investments, and not to panic sell. Obviously, what happens is when something in the market changes and your investment starts to dip, we tend to want to jump and take our money out before something happens. But stay long, stay in it, and just hold, because it's a long-term game. It's not a short-term thing. There's no such thing as making quick money. There's no such thing as that. So hold, stay, and diversify.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Good for you.
It's coming though. We'll get there. Yep. Okay. So, I wanted to ask you a quick question with regards to an emergency fund. When you're making recommendations, sitting with clients, how do you navigate that?
Ideally, if you really want an emergency fund, which everybody should have, probably around about 3 to 6 months worth of savings, just so that you know that should any emergency arise, such as losing a job or a medical emergency, even on your car, stuff is strong.
Tires.
Yeah. So that you know, if anything like that rises, then you know you're sorted. You have your.
You won't have to dive into credit or anything.
You don't have to get into credit or anything like that.
Makes sense.
Okay, so why is estate liquidity important?
Sure. Okay. Well, we've had instances in the past where clients obviously pass away. And unfortunately, a myth is that your debt dies with you, and it doesn't happen. So liquidity would just mean that if there's any liabilities in the estate, that'll be settled using some sort of liquidity, cash or whatever it might be, or just a liquid investment that can be liquidated for the sake of that. But even if for things like your estate duties and expenses, it will help a lot, because obviously, as I said, it does cost you money to die. That's just the reality of life. So that's why ensuring estate liquidity is really important.
Okay,
you ready?
No, it's not too bad.
Oh wow. Have more then.
I'm still have another question.
Okay, Kim.
Okay.
So a person's never engaged with a financial advisor. What can they expect from PW Harvey and our
I
advisors?
think it's people are quite nervous to meet with a financial advisor for the first time, and we always like to say it's a no strings attached type of conversation where we try to find out as much as we can about you, and it's a lot of listening. You do a lot of talking, and we ask some quite intrusive questions sometimes. Which I think it's you can expect we'll follow something called the 6 steps of financial planning, which means that we'll kind of take you through that whole process of giving you proper advice and yeah, I think it's just to know that we're in this to help you, and we kind of just chat and get to know you. Yeah. Spreading. The more I talk, the air is igniting it a little bit. I forgot what my question is to you. So, I think there's been a bit of change in the industry with ETFs coming into the scene a bit more, and I don't know if you can maybe touch on a bit of what the difference is between an ETF and a unit trust, and kind of what your thoughts are on ETFs.
ETFs are a thing that the unit trust industry is going to have to combat, just because they're a lot more affordable, so they're cheaper to get into, they're a lot more liquid. You can buy it on an exchange, which allows us to get in and out. Not that you necessarily want to do that, but it gives you that flexibility. Where mutual funds are a lot more rigid, and you can only really access them on a platform, where an ETF can be purchased in a share portfolio and on platforms alike. So yeah, I think they've come in and really disrupted the industry, and I'm interested to see how it plays out. Okay, cheers. It'll be hotter.
A lot of people get under pressure to buy their first property.
Yeah.
And I think maybe it'll be a good idea to just kind of touch on buying versus renting, the pros and cons of it, so we can get a bit more insight on that.
Yeah, it's a tough one to break down, because it does depend on everyone's financial situation. But one of the advantages, I guess, to renting, let's tackle that first, is it is flexible. So it's not a financial commitment. So if you are young and you're just looking for that place to stay, and you don't know if you're going to be in South Africa or any other country for that matter, it does offer you that flexibility. What is on the flip side is you're not paying for an asset, which it's hot, eh?
Yeah, it's knocking out.
It is burning. You're not paying off an asset, which is what you're doing when you actually purchase a house. So if you're ever to sell it, you're at least walking away with something. Are you starting a family? So quite a lot of things to consider there. You also will be subject to repo rate hikes or interest rate hikes, let's say, which obviously if you haven't budgeted properly, then it can have an effect on you. So it is a big decision, which you shouldn't take lightly. But yeah, definitely, in my view, having recently bought a house and wanting to start a family soon, yeah, it's an advantage. Okay?
Yeah, sure.
It was a very emotional time there.
I think let's talk retirement.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask this in two phases. One's for a young person, and one's for maybe a person reaching retirement, maybe 2 or 3 years out. What type of conversations are you having?
People, it's quite difficult to get across how important it is to start early. I think just starting early makes a huge difference, time in the market, and it's this far off concept for a lot of youngsters, so it is quite important to just start. We've got a golden rule for most of our clients that R1 million generates about 5,000 Rand a month sustainably for 25 years in retirement. So you kind of can put a price tag on retirement in terms of how many millions do you have to have. And a lot of the times we get older clients coming in maybe 2-3 years before retirement, and now they want to kind of start planning, and it's a bit late then to kind of do much. But yeah, I think it's just managing expectations in terms of expenses and how much we can generate for them in terms of income. It's, yeah.
Great. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.